From your traffic update to our first interview for this morning. And the Oshikuku Town Council, situated in the Umsati region, is searching for a suitable site where it can relocate its dump site. Now, the relocation is vital so that the council can comply with the Environmental Waste Management Act. And with more details on this, I'm now joined by the Local Economic Development Officer as well as Public Relations Officer, that's John Siloiso, with more information. Very good morning to you, John, and thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning. I'm pleased to join you.
Thank you so much for making the time out. Firstly, the vision of Oshikuku is to be one of the most sought-after destinations for investors, residents and visitors alike, where quality of life is guaranteed. Has 2020 been that year for your town?
Maurice, as we all know, 2020 was a challenging year. And as a result of that, Oshikuku was also affected by the development of this pandemic.
Yeah.
However, perhaps I should also point out to say, apart from few projects that could not be implemented or take place as anticipated from the beginning of the year, most of the other activities, in terms of local authorities' mandate or council's mandate, we continue to do that. That's now the provision of services. But, activities such as trade fair couldn't take place, as we all know that was now restricted by the pandemic.
Yes.
And remember, this is a platform where we have to market our town and for us to be able to interact and meet potential investors. Yeah, that's just one of the examples.
Yeah. Regardless of all the challenges and shortcomings that you just alluded to, Oshikuku remains one of the youngest towns in northern Namibia. It is small, but fast growing. I think we can all agree to that, especially if you make your way, to the Otapis and whatnot. Just looking at the level of development in Oshikuku, it's quite impressive. What would you say are some of the latest developments that the town has undergone?
Well, yes, that's a fact. Oshikuku continues to grow. And if we specifically look at the previous year, that's now 2020. However, perhaps I should also point out to say, in terms of our financial year, that year is still running.
Yes.
Because our financial year starts on the 1st of July all the way up to the 30th of June.
Yeah.
So for the 2020 and 2021 financial year, we are still continuing with that. However, to answer your question, last year we have seen quite a number of few development in terms of our mandate as a local authority. That's now in terms of installing or, let's say, servicing of land. Yeah. Specifically, I would like to point out that we have managed to install sewer lines in Extension 5, which I should also point out to say this is basically meant for light industrial activities. That's now Extension 5. We have just put in sewer lines. And then we have Extension 9, which is now for residential purpose. We have put in water, installed water pipes, and all both these projects have actually completed.
Yeah.
And then if we come to the housing part, I should point out that Council have entered into a public-private partnership with a developer, and that project is still ongoing. This project is now, we are referring to Extension 7, where we anticipate to have about 340 houses being developed. As we speak now, late last year, the Honorable Minister of Urban and Rural Development have actually handed over 104 houses to new owners that were already completed. And now, as we speak, phase 2 of this project is ongoing, have commenced with this development.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Mr. Siloiso, just on that point, what does the housing backlog look like for the town of Oshikuku?
Well, yeah, just like any other part of the country, we also experience that. I should point out that at the moment on our waiting list, we do have about 1,500 applicants that are on the waiting list. And yeah, it's a challenge, especially when it comes to the issue of acquiring land from, let's say, traditional authority.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and due to that, I think it becomes a bit of a challenge to deliver land at the rate that everyone expects. Yeah.
What progress has been made in that regard? It's a big challenge for many of the town councils, having to buy up those surrounding traditional homesteads, so to say. What progress has been made in that regard, particularly for those areas surrounding Oshikuku?
Yeah, there is progress actually, in the sense that, like I indicated, we have just put in water lines in Extension 9.
Yeah.
We still have to continue with installation of all other facilities such as electricity, sewer lines, and all that. And this is an extension where we anticipate to have about close to 200 events as for residential purpose. Apart from that, we also have Extension 8, which is actually in terms of planning and surveying and planning, that is already completed. At the moment, we are busy looking for funding so that we can also service or develop this. And again, this I should indicate, this extension to have about 500 that's now a combination of both residential and commercial.
Okay, fantastic. Now, Mr. Siloiso, we understand that the Oshikuku Town Council is searching for a suitable site where it can relocate its dump site. Please talk to us about this.
Yeah, that's correct. In terms of the environmental management or waste act,
yes.
We do have a dump site as we speak. However, there are few challenges here and there. One of them, this dump site is actually close to town. And as a result of that, one would say we are likely to be non-compliant to the Act that pertains to this waste management. And for the past 2 years now, that's now 2019, 2020, we have been seized with this issue of looking for a dumping site. Of course, we have now identified a site that we consider to be suitable for this purpose, and we have actually engaged or started with the engagement or with the surrounding or the traditional authority regarding this matter. We have undertaken the mandatory environmental impact assessment that was completed, and what we are currently busy with is just consultation for us to be able to then purchase this piece of land and then develop it to a standard that's required. We do not really, or let's say, I can't really tell at the moment how long this process will take. Yes, we are busy with that process.
John, just for the sake of our viewers, what exactly does the Waste Management Act state with regards to the locality or distance or proximity of a dump site within a specified town?
Well, I should point out maybe a critical one is just to say it shouldn't be within 500 meters from residential area or where people live. And if you look at our current dumping site, basically, I think we are encroaching within that permissible distance. And that's the reason why at the moment it's of crucial importance to us that we find a way, or we find a new site Nevertheless, as it is now, we are still managing the current one while we are busy sourcing or looking for the new site.
Yeah. And this site is used for the entire dump, so to say, of the Oshikuku town?
Yes, that's right. Basically, that's where we dump everything. That's now we talk of the household waste, we talk of the, should I say, industrial waste,
Yes.
or commercial waste, even the waste from hospital is all dumped in this the current dumping site.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
So it's definitely overloaded here.
it is.
Furthermore, Mr. Siloiso, late last year, Council established a mayoral relief fund aimed at assisting needy and less fortunate residents. Has the community been coming to the plea of your council?
Well, first of all, I need to just make it clear to say the Mayoral Relief Fund actually it has been in existence for a number of years now.
Okay.
What happened is that over the years, I think the activities that have been taking place were more of, should I say, basically we're more of a targeted project. Targeted in the sense that we used to more offer or say host lunch in partnership with other stakeholders in town. Yep. We would organize a lunch, a Christmas lunch for the OVCs, orphans and vulnerable children, and that had been going on for, I would say now, to about 5 years. Now, what transpired or what happened last year is that there was then a need after Her Worship, the Mayor, observed that there are more people that need assistance in our town. Yeah. Among them, these were the expecting mothers. And then a campaign was deliberately initiated then to say, let's source for whatever support that we could get to assist these people. Okay. And now that's what happened last year that led to a situation where people felt like it's a new fund,
okay.
That had been in existence.
But it's in fact the old one.
Support, yes, we do get support initially from commercial entities, like I indicated for the overseas lunch. Yes. We actually have quite a number of sponsors that annually comes on board. And then in terms of last year's now initiative, yes, we really got support, and we could meet our target in terms of what to hand over and to what number.
Fantastic. Mr. Siloiso, with the worsening COVID-19 situation in the country, and the North hasn't been spared as well, how is your council meeting the general populace of Oshikuku halfway in fighting this pandemic?
Yeah, that's a challenge.
Yes.
I should indicate it's really a challenge. But yes, we all remember there was a directive from the line ministry that's now back in early 2020 when this pandemic emerged. Yes. In terms of, as we know, council's mandate, one of them is to provide water for consumption. And there was that directive to say we shouldn't cut off water. Now, I should point out that there was, perhaps one would say there is a kind of a misunderstanding regarding that, in the sense that you find people that are also in a position to be able to pay water, that sometimes they are reluctant to do so, now basing their argument on that communication. Yeah. But nevertheless, Council continues to provide the expected services. And in terms of now managing the pandemic as per the general, or let's say the regulations from the Ministry of Health, we do have a health practitioner whose mandate is actually to also provide education in terms of general health. Yeah. And this is the person now that goes around town as they carry out their regular work to ensure that they educate people, they educate our business community in terms of how to adhere to these regulations pertaining to the pandemic. And this is now. I need to point out that again, council have also provided the necessary tools to the employees.
Okay.
Now we are taking of sanitizers,
yes,
where each employee was given sanitized, and then there is a container in the office where once your container as an employee is ran out, you just go fill up. Employees were also provided with face masks, 2 pairs each. That's now this reusable, or the ones where you can wash and then use again. Recently, the office actually was now closed for fumigation. This is now on the basis that yes, there have been a case reported in council, if I may say, where it was reported that a colleague tested positive to this pandemic.
Very unfortunate.
Yes, all other regulations in terms of social distancing, as much as it's challenging, council keeps on emphasizing or less pointing out all these things.
Yeah, fantastic news. Mr. Siloiso, as we wrap up this interview this morning, just what does 2021 look like for the Oshikuku Town Council? What are some of the major undertakings?
I'll point out 2 of them. One of them is electrification of Extension 4. Extension 4, one would say, is what one would consider an informal settlement. All other services were already installed. The only thing that was pertaining then was electricity, and that's what we expect actually to start within a couple of weeks. This tender was already issued out. However, I should again point out to say, as much as we are saying it's an informal settlement area, what is actually on the ground is that people are building decent houses. So you wouldn't really find a much informal settlement set up as we all know it. Then the other thing that I need to point out is that with regards to the dumping site, we are currently busy looking for another site, we are not neglecting what we have at the moment. So as a result of that, we have now started addressing some of the current identified challenges or shortcomings. And this is now, we have a security guard on site just to control the access of whoever is coming to the dumping site. We also, as we speak now, we are finalizing the procuring of somebody or a company that will be able to help us to push this waste into a hole there that need to be filled and then compacted nicely so that at the end of the day, the site still looks attractive and still manageable while we are finding an alternative site.
Very much indeed.
So these are the 2 at the moment, not only the 2, but these are, among others, the 2 that we are currently pushing to address or to work on.
All right, fantastic. Mr. Siloiso, thank you so much for making the time out to speak to us this morning. And